I declare the meeting of this Winthrop School Board open. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, roll call. Catherine is going to join us in a few minutes. She's in a class. Tim?
Here.
Ivy?
Here.
Alicia?
Here.
David?
Present.
All right. Any adjustments to the agenda?
No, there is not.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Winthrop School Board meeting of May 17th, 2023 as written or with corrections.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 4-0. Okay. Public comments.
Corey, you see any? I don't.
No comments on the Zoom. Any comments here in the room? No. Okay, thank you. Superintendent's report was sent to us after the fact. It's in your packets. Thank you for allowing the delay in getting this in.
Yes, I thank you all, and I thank you for your messages. It's very much appreciated.
Does anybody have any questions about
I'm just
Jim's
going to go through a couple of things
Okay.
to add. Not so much in my report. I'd be happy to answer questions about that. A lot of what I wrote in there would be coming up later in the meeting anyway, but I do need to go through the financial report. The end of May represents 92% of the school year done, so we're 92% complete. So you would expect that the amount left is comparable to that. And you can see overall we're 91.8, so we're below that, but it actually won't be as tight as that sounds. I did some calculations because we undoubtedly will be needing to transfer some funds, because as we know, we purchased a bus. So Article 8, transportation, is way over, and honestly it's going to be even more over because we're going to make some purchases in transportation between now and the end. So I did some calculations. I talked to Bernice today to make sure that we have, I have to be careful how much over I spend, because we can only transfer up to 5% from any one line, and Article 1 and Article 2, usually our biggest ones, are both very healthy, and we should have no problem. We probably won't do that till August, maybe even September. It was new learning for me when I came here. First place I was a superintendent, we had our audit in July, which sounds really awesome, except that means you kind of have to close out your POs in May. They get them all cleaned up, and make sure you don't spend any money in June, because it has to be all reconciled before the audit. So when I came here, I think the first year I was saying, like, May, we need to, do this or do that, and Bernice wasn't even business manager then. She's like, but she's a former auditor, and she's like, why are you doing that? And I explained it. She said, no, you don't have to worry about that until, you just have to make sure anything we're going to expend, we can expend right till June 30th. It comes out of this fiscal year, but we just have to make sure that we have the money to cover it collectively, or that I can cover it by the 5% rule. So, so the budget itself is in really good shape. I want to remind you all that the next meeting we will be having, it'll be a workshop. It changed from a regular board meeting to a workshop, and that'll be with the administrative team. Megan's going to be leading that, and they'll be looking at data that we talked about earlier, was asked for earlier, and to get feedback on the strategic plan. You'll see that we're doing the data first, because a lot of the data leads into goals for the strategic plan. So I think that should be good, and I'm going to try to zoom in.
We don't want to see you on the beach.
Well, but I'll still be stateside, as far as, well, I guess I'll always be stateside, but I will not be, I will be in San Diego, not in, I will not have left for Hawaii at that point.
Okay.
But it's 3 hours difference, so hopefully I'll, one, remember, and two, nothing happens with my flight, so if I get in at 4, I will have missed it. It'll be 7 here.
Okay.
The appointments we have, Alec Picard is the alternative ed Tech 3 at the high school. Resignations, Kim Campbell Mike Griswold and Weeks, you can see what the positions are, Mike Saban and Mike Foley. And I did wanna make a comment, I put it in my, I think I put it in my superintendent's report. I know usually I get asked, usually by Kelly, not always here, but, you know, I think when our goal is to hire people forever. So there's a lot of people, but I would not read that, I would read into that, there's a lot of different reasons why people are getting done. And I have met with, actually I didn't meet with Kim, but I met with all the others, had conversations with all of them, and they're not leaving because they're unhappy here in Winthrop, and that really hasn't been the case. But that's still our goal, is to recruit and retain our staff for long periods of time. So there are no retirements. There are technically no retirements this year at all, although technically there's one. But she is, I guess she is officially done this year, so I can put that on a different meeting. I'll give her a chance to be here. And one transfer, which I'm really excited about, Michelle Urso, sorry Sue, currently a special ed Tech 3, is moving to the Title 1A at Tech 3 because, as you'll see later on the agenda, Nicole Murnau is moving from that Title 1A at Tech 3 to a teaching position, which is always nice to be able to promote from within. Nicole's outstanding, as you'll hear in a few seconds.
All set for questions? Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the financial report, and it looks to me like we're gonna have to move funds into 8 and 10.
Yep.
Okay, and in Article 1, that's really low. Does that, we haven't expended for summer yet, right?
No, that's already taken out of there.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's not taken out of it, but that's already accounted for. So, yeah, I guess technically you're right, it's not there.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
But it's still in good shape.
Any other questions about the budget? Okay, any questions about Jim's, report as a whole? Okay, all right. Moving on to the chair report. I was able to attend the graduation for Winthrop this weekend, and it went really well. It was nice to see all of the students and teachers and staff and administrators there, and family. I was pretty impressed with how full the gym was this year. Last year it didn't seem to be quite that full.
We needed for all the heat.
You know what, I was very much warm enough. I kind of chuckled when the students sang the Green Day song because it was so pretty, and I don't think of Green Day as pretty, so it made me chuckle, but it was really sweet to hear them sing. If you didn't get a chance to attend or watch yet the graduation, I would suggest you find it. Ms. Descoulias gave an amazing speech and a beautiful song to go with it to the students. It was quite moving. She did a great job.
And Ivy was there as well, which
Yes.
I appreciate, and it would obviously be nice if everybody could make it, and I did say to Jay to make sure that we have a place for the school board specifically next year, just so we can recognize everybody else. So make sure we recognize you guys as well. But I know it's not my report, but I should have said it under my own. But I really was very, very happy with the increased number of staff from the grade school and the middle school that were there. So hopefully we'll get more of those next year, and more after that, whatever.
It was fun listening to the students whispering to each other, "Look who's here! Look who's here!"
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a teacher and you're wondering why should I bother going, or an admin of the lower schools, that's why, because it really means a lot to the students to see that people who were so important in their lives are there to support them as they fly our Winthrop coop a little bit. I did have the opportunity to go to a graduation for a different high school this weekend as well, and I was so pleased that we do all of our scholarships during class night because they did not. And it took so much longer than it needed to, and those poor kids did not want to be sitting there through the whole thing. They just wanted their diploma stamp and have a good day. So I'm glad that that's something that we do here. I think that's great. It allows kids to still be recognized, but not, force the sit through when all they want is that little booklet and leave. So that was good. I don't think I have anything else. Committee reports, finance,
Didn't meet.
okay. Policy, hey. We will be going over some policies for second reading later this evening. Do you have anything else to report
For
for
policy?
policy?
Nope, we just have our second reading.
When is your next meeting?
We'll probably be on a pause.
Yeah, we haven't.
No summer? You don't think any summer? Okay. Okay, thank you. No meetings this summer for the policy committee. Negotiations, we do have, an executive session regarding negotiations this evening. We are expecting some kind of, action, so, sorry. You can't just leave at the end of the meeting. Other than that, we don't have anything for that. Curriculum, I don't think Megan's online, and I don't think she has anything.
No, she's
to
attending
report
an
right now.
event out of state tonight. so.
Okay, great. All right. No administrator reports this meeting. Joel, would you update us on the custodial contract, please?
Sure, so the 14th will be the last day for the company that's here, which I'm not even sure if they are here, to be honest with you. I think the grade school is the only one that's being cleaned at this point. And then, the new company came in, walked around with them, for about an hour in all 3 buildings. Must have been last week, I'm not sure, because everything's just kind of a blur right now. But we walked around and talked to the A team about what areas will be used during the summer. Obviously down here with the town hall, so what they do is they keep everybody working 52 weeks of the year so that they're fully staffed. One of the things that Jim and I really liked about them is when they are employees here, they're completely vetted, meaning that they've had all the way up to HIPAA and FERPA training, which is something we do for our employees. And one of the big issues with the company that was here now is they refused to give up the information that we needed for MEDMS, which is a violation for the schools not to report them. So they are very clear about that, and they will have that information for us. So pretty excited about them. They're in schools already. They're in Department of Defense buildings. I mean, they know what they're doing. Anybody that wants it, I can certainly send you, they have a whole setup of what we're guaranteed through the contract and how they do things, I can send that to you.
What's the start date again?
It'll be next Wednesday, the 14th, yep. The 13th, and I'm supposed to have all the keys back on the 13th, but I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm having a really hard time getting any communication from the current company. So, which is not unusual, I think they're just I think they washed their hands of this place a long time ago, and hopefully they'll do what we need to do. So they're called Casco Bay Cleaning.
The new company.
Yes. They do all the SAPI. They're located in Fairfield, the unit that we're gonna be working with. Their direct hub is out of Portland, but they're housed up there. They do SAPI and some schools up there.
I've heard good things about them.
Yep.
I just wanna add, not that I need to defend Joel or myself, but I think they were under consideration last year.
Mm-hmm.
We were impressed with the company that we hired and ended up obviously being very disappointed. But they really presented themselves as an upstart company, and they were hoping to get a foothold in this area and seemed very motivated to do a great job so that we could tell other people about them and the job they did. And I don't think they want us to give them any references at this point.
No,
We crafted the contract intentionally to say,
yeah.
there are things you need to do to keep this contract, and they clearly didn't do that.
And these folks are from Maine, some of them, most of them, I guess, and the people I've been working with, and they certainly present themselves that they want to be connected to the school and part of the culture and the community. And as they walked around, they had the contract in their hand and they were asking for where certain things were, where it was just the opposite this year, to no success. So don't need to beat that dead horse, but it certainly has been very frustrating.
Well, Joel, thank you for working
Sure.
on that. I'm sorry that we had a rough year.
Yeah, me too. You know, I think it's important. I think we all agree that we want our schools to look nice for our kids and community, which starts outside with mowing the grass and those things and brings it right into the building, so.
Does anybody have any questions for Joel before we move on? Okay. All right, Mr. Farr, would you please update us on the adult ed program and plan?
The adult ed program and plan. So, some good news, I guess. We've been exploring, and we've had an ad hoc committee that hasn't met in a long time, but did meet up into a point about doing a regional adult ed program shared first with MSAD 11 and then exploring opportunities with RSU2. So the idea being that by pooling resources, we can get some more services for all of those places. So, and I think those things, I think it would free up my time from trying to do advising work and having someone who can do that more directly and not me being pulled to two different places and kind of getting it done okay, but not as well as it could get done. So I think it will reduce fiscal responsibilities if we eventually get to a point of sharing budgets. I think we've got some good community connections to make. We have those three places. We have three very what would you say? Cool downtowns, right? You know, with lots of entrepreneurs and individual businesses. So already seeing the potential for that. So the big question was whether RSU2 would participate, and they have voted as a board to endorse participating in the regional board and committing financially $35,000. So that has passed their board. It has passed their budget meeting, and then it has the referendum vote to come. So they're on board. And we are MSAD 11 that has been supportive of it. That board has not officially said yet, but obviously I work over there too. So I know the director over there is really excited about it, but that's me. The budgets here in Winthrop and over there are structured to be able to allow for this to occur. One of the pieces that it would be having the director, basically I'd be paid out of MSAD 11 and 0.2 FDE would be billed to Winthrop. But I'd still be the director here, but it would be one program as opposed to two. I have had conversations with the state about that would reduce some of the necessity for grants to be split up and some other things. Like I said, that fiscal management could be less. So all of those details about the fiscal are left yet to be decided in the current agreement as it stands. The agreement right now is really about sharing responsibility, saying we're going to do this, we're going to cost share, into next year, but it's going to be separate budgets. The plan to be a budget joined in the year after. And that works with how we have to go if we're gonna bring RSU2 along, because they needed to, it was more direct to say, okay, we wanna contribute, let's get a budget, and now we have a budget, we're a program too, and bring them in. So it's, so that's been all the conversation. Where it goes from here, next steps really are, lawyers have an interlocal agreement that they're reviewing, which is pretty much the same one that we put forward right from the beginning. It's modeled after Mary Meeting Adult Education, which is out of the Brunswick-Topsom area, which serves 4 different school districts, and has expanded and been successful doing so, so that's the model. That interlocal agreement has been modified to allow for some things to happen, like how does the cost sharing happen? For example, the cost sharing in Mary meeting happens by the census numbers, and then it is split. None of that is detailed in the current agreement, because that would be work for the advisory board to make decisions and recommendations on. That's the big piece, is an advisory board, having 3 members from each each district. One is a school board member, one is a superintendent or the superintendent's appointee, and then one is a community member from one of those communities. So that gives you the advisory board, then myself on that advisory board. They would be the ones looking at budget, they would be the ones discussing and kind of making decisions in the next year about how do we do this all together, how do we pull this together. So those are the things that are not in it and are purposely left for a formed advisory board to be able to kind of make recommendations and explore really clearly what the financial implications would be, because I believe we have stayed pretty much at the same in both the programs, both Gardner and Winthrop. The budgets have not really increased that much over the last 4 or 5 years. I anticipate with adding another community, we would at least see that, not having to increase the budget, but still actually maybe improving the services. So that's the update. Is that everything you?
I wanted you to speak what you just said.
Yeah.
I think it has the potential of really providing more choices for our community.
Yeah.
And they may travel, but we're still, the one thing that we talked about when we first started this conversation was that we're not going to stop having classes here in Winthrop. People will
Right.
still be able to come here. But they can go to Monmouth, they can go to Hollowell, Farmingdale, which is not terribly far away,
Right.
and Gardner.
And, we have part-time teachers. Gardner has one, almost full-time, just a couple hours under, who's the retired director over there. And it's, we have one who's retiring, so we're gonna have to fill those positions. And it's hard for, even over there, for me to fill a program, I've only got 3-4 hours to provide, finding somebody sometimes you find someone who's willing to do that. But if I can put hours together where someone is maybe teaching a couple students remotely, but also teaching, they could be teaching here and they could be teaching in Gardner. I mean, you just got some sustainability that comes out of those practices. I can spread our classes over. I tried to do classes on Fridays. People don't show up for them. So we really spread our classes over 4 days, mornings and late afternoons, early evenings. And with 2 sites, you can start to spread them out a lot better. That's good. I mentioned advising services. I just think it provides for a lot of opportunities. So the next step would be because where we're at is the agreement is not signed, because the lawyers have not looked at it. But much like RSU2 has done, the ask would be to endorse that we are going a regional program, because in July, I need to put out the catalog. And if it's at least not endorsed as, yes, we want to do this, I don't feel comfortable saying, okay, here's our program's catalog. And I would have to kind of separate them back out.
So we'll not have an opportunity to vote on that until July. I was waiting for the
Yeah.
interlocal agreement to be done. And I
That's
thought,
fine.
the attorney's been in touch with us.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should hold anything back. I think
Okay.
you have a general, you can ask, that when you met, we met a couple months ago, there was, I felt like unanimous support, although we didn't vote because there's nothing for us to vote on yet.
Right.
But I think the concept has strong support.
Yeah, okay. So, that's, to hear that, and, that's the only piece that really, I have put out, requests to folks about what name they might like, so we have the votes all in on that. I will tell you, maybe I'll just wait till it gets to your mailbox. Jim knows that. I don't know of anybody, I don't think I shared with anybody finally, but, I think it's a good representative of all the communities that might be involved. When it's all done, there'd be 9 communities that are contributing
Wow.
to it. And I think it sets us up to do some of the things, if you look at what has happened in Mary Meeting, and we're certainly not that size of a population, but we're getting, we're spread out we're getting up to 30,000 people.
Who's the fourth one? It's Mount Airy at Brunswick, Bath, and I was trying to think what was down there. Not Wiscasset.
No, but there's a 4th one
Okay.
that they just brought, and they actively ask communities if they'd like to join, because they wanna have, and I can check and tell you.
It doesn't matter, I'm just
Yeah,
was
I
curious.
don't remember.
Well, that's part of Sevi, that's part of Mount Airy, right?
But
Yeah.
some of the things they do, they're able to run a lot of summer opportunities. They do family camps, which is, we, being as small as we've been, don't do a lot of family literacy work, but we could potentially. And when you start talking about an area, having a larger area to pull from, you can see a lot of very cool things that communities could benefit from. Questions?
Can you, well, I don't have any questions about this. Does anybody have any questions about this? How many kids is the wrong word.
Learners.
How many graduates are you expecting next year?
So we have 2 graduates that are going to attend. We have one who is taking tests tomorrow and Monday,
Okay.
and the scores are immediate, so we'll know. So we have 3, but we have 3 other graduates. 3 other graduates on top of that aren't participating. They finished earlier in the year, so we've reached out, but they are not.
Okay.
So the graduation is 14th at 6 p.m. Bailey Public Library.
Down in the basement like
Down in the
this.
basement like as before. It is very intimate because we get families. We have just a little, some snacks. We do. We talk, and they get speeches. We march them in, and we celebrate them that way, and give their diplomas. It's a little, like I said, it's less formal. You'll note this year we have a student who's actually got her own gown that will be pink, which I was like, she asked. I said, sure. So she's graduating. She put together a pink gown. I was like, all right, if you want, we provide gowns and caps. But so I'm excited to have them. I have graduates. Graduation in Gardner is on the 20th, and for us there, and I have 7 graduates. None of them are participating, so it's a little bit of a bummer there, but it does happen. So, then there's discussion about how do we do that next year. And on the 15th, which is the night after graduation, if any of you know Claire Hersom, who she's going to be working with just 2 students next year. She's has said, I'm basically retiring. She's been working part-time for us for, I think, over 10 years.
If you don't know her, that's just Folsom's mom.
Yeah. And so we are gathering anybody who knows her and wants to pop in and say hi. We've reached out to people who've worked with her in the past, and we're going over to Vanderbrew at 6 o'clock on the Thursday after graduation. So, but I suspect we'll still have Claire around here and there. So.
She's really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to old business. I will entertain a motion to approve the following policies, procedures, exhibits for second reading. IKF graduation requirements. JLF Child Abuse Report Prevention and Education. JLFE Suspected Child Abuse Neglect Reporting Form. JLFR Reporting Child Abuse and Neglect Administrative Procedure. And JLFA Child Sexual Abuse Prevention and Response.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay.
All right, so, This is for our second read, and
Before you start.
Oh, sorry.
Before you start to go over them, I think this is only the second time that this group has done any second read together, so I just wanna make sure that everybody's aware. We've done a first read, we've had time for people to get their input into the subcommittee. So today, we're voting on whether we are approving the budget, the policies as they are being presented to us or not, and sending them back to policy committee again. We're not doing any further reworking or discussion tonight. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we've got what we consider two different pieces. We've got the IKF, which is the graduation requirements, and as Kelly said, if in between these two periods, if you do have anything you wanna comment, that is a time just to email us, and we will incorporate that in our discussion and give you feedback on that, but we haven't received anything from you guys. And then we have the what we're calling the JLF suite, which is a whole category of child abuse and the reports that go along with it, like reporting form and things like that. Is that a good introduction?
That's a great introduction.
Okay, so then,
Just a quick reminder of where things stand as far as each policy is concerned, be
Okay.
useful, as far as changes that have been made.
okay, so, they are actually the same as the last time, so the difference in the, IKF is that we changed the language about 15 hours per year to a half credit. So that's that one. In the JKLF suite, again, it was a little bit of a language changing from some shalls to will. There is also, in the definition clause, a cut and paste from Maine law for the definition of child abuse or neglect, and a removal about a communication policy within our school district. And that, in my understanding, I believe those are the sort of pieces that we have made some modifications.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments before we take a vote on the second reading of these?
There was a change in JLFA, did you cover that as well?
Mm-hmm, she did.
Okay.
She was- That's the communication piece.
Yeah, that was the communication piece. All right, all those in favor of passing these, policies for second reading and being changed and adopted? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. New business. I will entertain a motion to elect Nicole Morneau as a first grade teacher for the 23-24 school year as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Seconded. Okay. The next few are all very similar. So quickly, before we start to look at them, I will let you know that there is a write-up in your packets about each of the individuals, telling you who they are, where they come from, what the interview committee looked like. So hopefully you had a chance to read those in advance. These are all at the grade school. So unless there's any opposition, I would ask that Jolene just speak about each of them now instead of as we go. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, go ahead.
Can I, before she does that, I just wanna say, because we talked about that here, about, and I thought we forgot that we had stopped doing this. We didn't intentionally stop doing it. But I had said to the administrator, well, to the three principals, that I wanted, and actually Sue would have done it too, this sort of blurb, if you guys have in advance, which you had asked for, I think it's a great idea. As it turned out, all four of them were in Jolene's building, so I asked her to do that, and I really liked her model that she put together, so I asked her, she put it on some sort of Google Doc or something for you guys to see, that'll be kind of what it will look like from other places, so thank you, Jolene.
You're welcome. Okay,
So am I gonna speak
Yes,
to
please.
each of them?
yeah, take all of them, yeah.
Okay.
So the first person is, before I even start, I just want you to know that we were, as interview committees, there were different committees for, well, 3 different committees for these 4 positions. And it was some of the most exciting interviews. They were some of the most exciting interviews that we had, because the candidates were just like, it was a very positive experience. So Nicole Morneau, who Jim already mentioned, has worked here at Winthrop Grade School for 9 years, and she is one of the most motivated, eager, passionate young ladies that has been working towards getting into her own classroom. She did long-term subbing, she was a special ed tech, and most recently a ed tech in the learning lab. And so we were just, she's more than ready and willing and able, and we're so excited to have her join the first grade team. Yeah, I think she might, is she online? She said she might be online,
Doesn't
I
look
don't
like
know.
it.
No, okay.
Unless she changed her name, she's not on.
Unless she, funny Jim.
She
No,
could be here
didn't.
with somebody named Natalie.
Yeah. And then Madison Kutcher, she is a brand new graduate out of UMF, 2023 graduate. I didn't realize who she was at first, and then I went to pick her up for the interview, hadn't put it all together, but then realized that when I was teaching prior to being at Winthrop at Tripp Middle School, she was a student at that time. So when we saw each other, it was like, oh my gosh, Madison. She was like, Mrs. Randall, is that you? I was like, yes. So it was nice to reconnect with her. Again, the hiring committee very enthusiastic about having her become a champion at the grade school. She's just very polite, bubbly, in a quiet way, and very passionate. She also comes from a family of educators. So education is very, very important to her, herself, and also her family. Some of the things that they said about her when I called to check on her was that some of her strengths were the relationships she built with staff and students, which that's a huge piece for us at the grade school, is building relationships. So it was very exciting to give her a call and let her know as a new graduate that we wanted her to come on board. She's very excited to be a part of our team. Maureen.
But before you leave
Whoop,
her, I
sorry.
need to add my 2 cents
Oh, I
worth.
didn't even, did I say
I-
she was hired as a K teacher? I didn't even know
Yeah,
if I
you're a
said
K
that.
teacher, right?
Okay.
So when I was told by Colleen who the candidate was, I thought she was kidding me, because Madison lives in the same town that I live in. I know her parents very well. I know her aunt very well. And I was trying to figure out how she would know that, to use that name, but, and she also graduated from high school with my oldest son. It's like, wow, small world. And they're from a family of excellent educators, so I'm sure she'll follow in their footsteps.
Yep. And then the third person I will speak to is Maureen McDonald. She's coming to us as the new school counselor. And again, we were so, we're so thankful when we sat down to meet with her, because she was, again, one of those people that just, you can tell education is very important to her, kids are very important to her, very enthusiastic. Christy Grant, our current guidance counselor, was a member of that interview committee, and the connection they made during that committee was like almost immediate. And they've already, I think it's on Monday, Maureen's coming in to visit us at the grade school to spend some time in the afternoon going about the building, meeting people and spending time with Christy, but they're already planning summer stuff about how they're gonna, figure out what that looks like for fall. So very, very exciting to find her, because she actually was the only person that applied. So when we went into interviews, sometimes things work out, because Jim has something, what do you say, you only need that
You only need
one
one
right
good one,
person,
yeah.
right? Yeah, but you never know. And it was just a really good fit. And when I called to check on her, there was one person who said, she's my person. And so people were sad to see her move into a different position. And then,
Totally unrelated,
oops,
because it wasn't part of the initial search. Her former superintendent called me nothing to do with this, and I just said, hey, what can you tell me? And he just said, I can't believe she's leaving, she's amazing. It's like, so it was really unsolicited, support was really nice.
Yeah, she lives closer to us. That's how we ended up being so lucky. And the last person that we hired is Zach Finney, and he is a resident of Winthrop and wanted to come back here, and so it was exciting to meet him also. Just passionate, excited, has lots of ideas, has lots of things he wants to do, and he talked about his commitment to the community of Winthrop and how he's really happy to be coming back to Winthrop. And everyone that I talked to in regards to him just continuously said how great he was with kids, that he was able to be lots of fun with kids, but safe with kids. And also they talked about his dedication to always being willing to help out, support, and do those extra little things. And one remark he made, which he probably should not have made during the interview, was, I was sitting, I think, a couple of seats from him, and I was like, oh my gosh, if you have extra duties that you need covered, I love it whenever I can spend extra time with the kids. And I was like, oh, hired. Like, and I looked at him when he left, I was like, I did write that down. So, but yeah, very energetic and just eager to go. So we're very excited to have the new people coming on board, and Nicole moving into that new position as a teacher.
Thank you, Jolene.
Yeah.
Any discussion about Nicole?
I just had a question. I thought we voted on the school counselor last time.
It was the high school.
Oh, it's high school. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor of Nicole Morneau? Okay, unanimous. I'll entertain a motion to elect Madison Karcher as the kindergarten teacher for the 23-24 school year, as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to elect Maureen McDonald as the Winthrop Grade School Guidance Counselor for the 23-24 school year, as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. I will entertain a motion to elect Zachary Finney as the Winthrop Grade School Physical Education Teacher for the 23-24 school year, as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Do any of the school board members have any items that they'd like to request to be added to future agendas? Okay. Girls?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, comments, Catherine?
No comments for me?
Tim?
No.
Alicia? Ivy?
Just the graduation was amazing, beautifully set up.
It was. It was on the opposite end of the gym from last year, so I walked in, I was like, wait a minute.
It was throwing me off too.
Good, I'm glad I wasn't there.
Well, what Joel will tell you, it's the way it's always been up until the last couple of years.
Correct.
Anything for you, sir? You have to hold that mantle that,
I know, I have to be first now. It's throwing me off.
yeah,
I can't just go, only your turn.
Nope.
But, not much other than, I don't know if baseball won the other day or not. It didn't, that's okay. But good luck softball tomorrow at Halldale.
Yes.
And, yeah, States for track was an experience, to say the least, with all the rain. It was a blast, for me at least.
I heard it was very cold. Very
Didn't bother me
Okay.
personally, but it was a treat, to say the least, and just a blast all around. And we got a state record there.
hey, way to go.
James Cognata in the 800, I believe.
Okay. All right.
And that is all.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session regarding labor negotiations pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D.
So moved.
No.
All those in favor? Okay. All right, it's unanimous. All right, we will ask everybody except for the board to leave the room. You ready to? All right. I will entertain a motion to establish the Winthrop Transportation Department effective July 1st, 2023, as discussed in executive session on May 17th and June 7th.
So moved, sorry.
Seconded.
Any, well, you really can't.
You always can go first, and you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for him. There's no really discussion that we can have
Not
since this
really.
is executive. Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. And the second motion, I entertain a motion to hire Josh Wheeler as the Transportation Director effective July 1st, 2023, as discussed in executive session on May 17th and June 7th.
So moved.
Technically, we didn't discuss him on.
Oh,
the sheet.
June 7th.
Yeah, that's,
Okay. So we've got a Tim and an Alicia. Okay.
Oh,
She
sorry.
seconded
Oh,
it.
I was like,
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, 4-1. Okay, all right, thank you, we are done. I will now declare this meeting over, 7:35.